संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to the study of the life of household disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Since yesterday we were studying the life of Ramachandra Datta. We shall continue from where we had left yesterday. On November 13th, 1879, Ramachandra Datta went by boat to Dakshineshwar with Gopala Chandra Mitra and a cousin, Manamohan Mitra. As soon as they reached the Dakshineshwar temple garden, they inquired about Sri Ramakrishna and they were directed to Sri Ramakrishna's room. This time, when I was in Dakshineshwar temple, I had been to the room. Generally, we used to go to the room of Sri Ramakrishna and sit there for meditation for a long time, do japa, pray to the master, and remember all the events which happened there. But because of coronavirus, they would not allow. I even specially requested to the person who was there. They didn't budge. They were not allowing anybody to go inside because it doesn't belong to us. It is privately managed. So we could go inside the temple or the sanctum of Divine Mother Kali, but they were not allowing us to go into the room of Ramakrishna and also the room of Holy Mother, the Nahabat, that was also closed. We were not allowed to go there. And we were not even allowed to go to the, what is that called? The sadhana place, Panchavati, and all the other places where Sri Ramakrishna did his sadhana. So that place was also completely blocked because of coronavirus. I wanted to collect some mritika, that is mud, soil from the Panchavati and other places for our temple, but I couldn't go there at all. Then I requested the Swamiji there to collect it and keep it either when I go next time or if when some devotees are coming, we can get it. Whatever I'm going to collect the mud from our Velur Mutt. I've already collected some mud from Jairambati and Kamarpukur. So I'll try to collect some mud when I go to Kashi, Varanasi. So I started all this, telling you all this, because I was not allowed to go inside the room of Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar. So now here, Ramachandra Datta, Gopal Chandra Mitra, and Manohan Mitra. As soon as they reached Dakshineshwar temple garden, they inquired about Sri Ramakrishna and they were directed to his room. But when they reached there, they found that the door was shut. And their Western education, because there are a lot of etiquettes in the Western education, you cannot just rush in, you have to tap, you have to ask, you have to take the permission and then go in. So now, because of their Western education, they made them hesitate to call out or knock. Just then, Sri Ramakrishna himself opened the door from inside and asked them to come in. Ramachandra Datta noticed that Sri Ramakrishna did not look like the traditional ochre clad monk. They thought that he would be dressing himself up like a religious personality with the ochre cloth and with some trishula or some other things, danda or lot of rudraksha mala and tulasi mala, nama, then tilaka, something like that. They had a idea. So Ramakrishna, the saint, would be like some traditional monk. But Ramakrishna did not look like the traditional ochre-clad monk with matted hair and ash-smeared body. On the contrary, Sri Ramakrishna was the embodiment of simplicity. So he was not only the embodiment of simplicity, because he was the embodiment of real spirituality. That is why there was no external show. Real spirituality is simplicity. So Ramakrishna was very simple, like a child. So Ramachandra Datta noticed that Sri Ramakrishna did not look like the traditional ochre cloth monk with matted hair and ash-smeared body. On the contrary, the master was the embodiment of simplicity. So the more spiritual you become, the more simple you become. The more knowledge you get, the more humble you become. The less the knowledge, the less the spirituality, more the ostentatious nature, external pomp, external show off. When we have less spirituality, all this will take place. What is that? Everything we want to show off externally to compensate the absence of spirituality. The more spiritual you become, the more simpler you become. The more knowledge of God you get, the more humble you become. So, note it. Don't get mesmerized by the external looks, but simplicity is the hallmark of spirituality. So, Ramchandra Datta noticed it that Ramakrishna did not look like the traditional ochre clad monk with matted hairs. So, I remember, why do sadhus, why do Shiva have this matted hair, jeta? Because Shiva will be sitting in meditation for thousands of years. There is no time for him to take bath. There is no time for oiling his hair. So the dust will get segregated there. And because of no oil, dust and other things, the natural tendency of the hair is to get locked up or matted. So it is out of vairagya, it is out of sitting in sadhana for a long time, they get matted hair. But due to some reason or unclean nature, we are not oiling the hair, or if we are not combing it, taking care of it, so it will start matting. So some of the people think that if you get matted hair, that is sign of some spirituality. I don't know how much of it is true. The moment they get matted hair, they will preserve it very carefully, and people revere them also. But in reality, why they get matted hair? Even Ramakrishna, when he was sitting in sadhana for 12 years, and 6 years he didn't sleep, 6 months continuously he was sitting in samadhi. So, where is the question of taking bath, eating food, or any other natural things cannot happen? They'll be sitting in deep concentration on the Lord. Where is the question of taking care of all these external things? So, his hair too got matted up, jata, and snake and other animals, poisonous creatures would pass on his body. Ramakrishna was not at all aware. Birds would sit on his matted locked hair and they used to collect some seed or anything there. Ramakrishna would not be aware. He was sitting in meditation like a log of wood, sthano. So that's why the matted hair, because of the intense sadhana. But these people artificially create the locked matted hair because they want to show off spirituality through the locked or matted hair. That is The reality is sadhana, vairagya, sitting there for a long time, meditating, then automatically it gets matted up or matted hair will be there. But on the contrary, these people take special care to have these matted locks. And one lady, when I was had gone to distribute food or the hamper distribution to the poor people in Lanesia, every month one lady comes there with matted hair. Poor lady. So one day when we were distributing food there, she came to me, Greyville School, Lanesia. She showed her matted hair to me and told, see, I'm hair. I'm the Swami with the hair, she told me. Then it looked funny to me. I told, see, I'm the Swami without the hair, I showed her. She told, I'm the Swami with the hair. I told, I'm the Swami without the hair. So that was a funny, humorous situation. That's a different thing. So matted hair and other things are external pomp. The more simple you are, the more spiritual you are. So the more humble you are, the more egoistic, the more all these shows, less spirituality, hollow inside. So to compensate the absence of spirituality, then there will be too much of external show off. So that's why you should take care. So and understand about yourself and others too. When people are trying to show off, it is their rajasic nature and also absence of spirituality. So here, simplicity is the hallmark of spirituality. On the contrary, the master was the embodiment of simplicity. Sri Ramakrishna saluted them. See, they have come, they are coming to a monk and they have to salute him. But on the contrary, Vinayata, first of all, simplicity. Secondly, Ramakrishna himself would salute. He conquered everybody by Namaskara Astra. Earlier there were so many weapons, I have told you. Now this in this avatar, Ramakrishna conquered people by his humility, by the Namaskar Astra. Ramakrishna himself did the Namaskar to these people, whether they did it, he didn't expect anything. Why do we do Namaskara? We have to note that. Because we see the Lord, we should see the Lord in the other people who come to us and we have to respect. That's why we do Namaskara. When you do Namaskara, the other people will do Prati Namaskara, return it back, telling that we to see the Lord and respect within you. Within everybody, we have to see Namaha Te Namaskaraha. Namaha Te Namaste means Te Namaha. I bow down to you. Whom do I bow down? To the Lord who is within you. So that is the idea. Now Ramakrishna is showing what is the reason why we do Namaskar. Sri Ramakrishna saluted them. Now see the next line, addressing them as Narayana. So he's seeing Narayana in all of them. He's addressing them also as Narayana. So Ramakrishna saluted them. See, these are to be not forgotten, heard, read, and forgotten. To immediately bring it into practice. Otherwise, what is the use of hearing, reading the books if you don't put it into practice? Seeing God in everybody, seeing God in every people we meet, and saluting instead of shaking hand, instead of hugging. It is not our culture. Yet the people have started that Western culture. You see Indians too, hugging, the bear hug, and the shake hand. They will not wash their hands. At every this thing, they will be touching their saliva, and with the same dirty hands, they will shake hand. So that is not our Indian culture. Namaskaraha. Now, since the coronavirus is fast spreading, they are prohibited to hug or the shaking of hands. In spite of that, some people start hugging each other or shaking hand. So I have to tell them, I have to remind them this is corona pandemic going on, be careful. Then they tell, oh, this is our culture something. No, no, not at all. It is not our culture. Our culture is Namaskara. Elders fall at their feet. Equals, then embrace. only equal friends. That too now, not during the coronavirus. Not anybody and everybody. So we have to be careful about our practices. And now, since you cannot embrace, they will take their elbow and dash their elbow to each other. And if that also cannot be done, they will touch their feet, shoes, or the slippers, they will make a touch. All some funny things will happen, whatever it might be. Ramakrishna is showing us, the Avatara himself is showing us. He's addressing them, he saluted them, and addressing them as Narayan. So we have to see our Ishtadevata, the Lord. Ramakrishna is seeing Narayana in all of them and addressing them as Narayana, doing the Namaskara, showing us what should we do when we do Namaskara. We have to see the Lord in them and ask them to sit down. So now, after seeing Narayana, after seeing the Lord and doing, so should we stop seeing Lord there? No. We have to serve them. We have to do the service. See now, what is the service? Ramakrishna asked them to sit down. Then he smiled. So, smiling is also a service which you can do to the people in front of you. Give a good smile, not an artificial smile, real, natural smile. So, that also brings out the best in you, and it will also bring a joyous mood in the person who is there near you. Your smile, your morose face, long face will also put them into depression. That's why Swami Vivekananda used to always tell, if you have a long face, if you have a dejected face, sorrow face, see in the mirror. If you have such ugly faces, please do not go outside at all. You don't have the right to distribute unhappiness to other people. If you have a joyful face, only then go out. These are the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. See, Ramakrishna smiled at Ramachandra Datta and said, "Hello, are you not a doctor?" It's the first time they have come, first time they are meeting. And Ramakrishna could recognize the moment he saw, he's telling, "Hello, are you not a doctor?" Yes. Ramachandra Datta was a doctor of that time, not the MBBS or the medical degree holding present doctor. In those days, Britishers had a different training by which they could become doctor. So here, Ramakrishna could recognize that he was a doctor. Pointing to Hriday, then Ramakrishna told, he's suffering from fever. Could you check his pulse? Ramachandra Datta was astonished that Sri Ramakrishna, how could he know that he himself, Ramachandra Datta, was a doctor? After examining Hriday, Ramachandra Datta reported that his body temperature was normal. From the very beginning, Sri Ramakrishna made Ramachandra Datta his own and would often inquire about his personal life and also his mental conflicts. So anybody meeting Ramakrishna, they would to feel that Ramakrishna is our own. And another thing he used to make them feel was that person was the best loved person of Ramakrishna. Everybody would feel, I am the most favorite of Sri Ramakrishna. See, that was the speciality. That was the way Sri Ramakrishna would behave with others, that everybody would feel that they are their own. Ramakrishna was their own. And also that they are the favorite persons of Sri Ramakrishna. That would be the behavior, the way he used to deal with the people, that the other people would feel like that. Now you can see that with Ramachandra Datta. From the very beginning, Sri Ramakrishna made Ramachandra Datta his own and would often inquire about his personal life and also his mental conflicts. Ramachandra Datta felt greatly attracted to Sri Ramakrishna And he started to visit him every Sunday. After that, he felt so much attracted. See, haven't we studied so much of life and experiences of different devotees? Each person would feel that pull, the attraction of Sri Ramakrishna. Here, Ramchandra Datta also. Once they meet Ramakrishna, they couldn't stop. They had to go again. So now, Ramakrishna mesmerized him. He attracted him so much that Ramchandra Datta felt greatly attracted towards Master, and he started to visit him every Sunday, returning home in the evening. Soon, Ramchandra Datta felt bold enough to ask the questions that had been haunting him. So, when you become close to somebody, automatically you open up your heart. So now Ramakrishna made him his own, and also Ramchandra Datta started feeling so close to Ramakrishna. So now he opened up his heart. So many questions were taunting him, haunting him. So now he became bold enough to ask questions that had been haunting him. Now one day Ramchandra Datta asked Sri Ramakrishna, Sir, does God exist? How can one see God? Now earlier we read that he started developing because of the Western education and many other incidences in life, started developing atheism, started thinking that God did not exist. Now again, he was getting the faith in the Lord. Now he started asking question. What was the first question he asked? Sir, does God exist? How can one see God? Sri Ramakrishna replied, yes, God really exists. See the stress. God exists, really exists. You do not see any stars during the daytime. Can you just think that there are no stars at all? Because of the sunlight, you cannot see the stars. Once it is night, when there is no sunlight, then you can see the stars. So if you don't see the stars during the day, that doesn't mean that stars does not exist at all. Now, the other example given by Sri Ramakrishna, beautiful example was, there is butter in the milk, but can anyone know it merely by sight? If you go on repeating there is butter in the milk, will you get it? Or looking at it, can you get it? No. In order to get butter, you have to put it to fermentation. You have to heat it, then you have to cool it, then you have to add little the old curds, a little of it, and stir it. Keep it in a warm place. If you can't, keep it in the refrigerator or a cold place. Keep it in a little warm place. Then it gets fermented and it becomes curds. It doesn't stop there. You cannot go on shaking and disturbing the milk. Then it would not turn into curds. You have to leave it alone, not disturbed, in a slightly warm place. Then it turns into curds. Then will that end there? No, not at all. Then you have to take it, put it into a vessel, and then churn it. And when you churn it properly, then the curds will come out of that curds. And then even if you put it into water, it will start floating. So much of procedure, so much of process is there to get the curds from the milk. There is butter in the milk, but can anyone know it merely by looking at it or sight? In order to get the butter, Ramakrishna is telling you must churn the milk in a cool place before sunrise. If you want to, another example given by Ramakrishna is, if you want to catch the fish, people go fishing, especially in the Western country. Go to Durban, I see any weekends or holidays, people will be going in boats, taking their boats on the vehicle and fishing rod and so many other things. They will go to the sea, they will go to the lake with the fishing rod to catch fish. That's a hobby here in the Western countries. It's not for earning food or earning money. It is just a hobby. They enjoy fishing. So now here Ramakrishna is giving the example of the fishing. If you want to catch fish in a pond, you have to learn the art of fishing from those who know it. And then you must sit patiently with the fishing rod, throwing the line into the water. Gradually, the fish will grab your bait. Then, as soon as the float sinks, you can pull the fish to the shore. Similarly, to realize God, you have to wait, you have to sit patiently, know it from the people who have realized God, the Guru. Then take the mantra Diksha, take the mantra and meditate and do the japa. You have to wait patiently. Then God will come to you. So, just like the fishing example, gradually the fish will grab your bait, then as soon as the float sinks, you can pull the fish to the shore. Similarly, you cannot realize God by mere wish, by telling, oh, I believe in God, I want to realize God. By saying that, can you realize? No. You cannot realize God by mere wish. You should have faith in the instructions of the Guru or the holy man. Make your mind like a fishing rod and your prana, the thought energy, the thought process, all the energies, the pranas, or the life force, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. And there are subtle pranas also, Trikala, Kurma, Devadatta, like that. So that life force, prana, like a hook, your devotion, bhakti, and japa, the practice of taking the name of the Lord, japa, like the bait, eventually, then you will be blessed by the vision of God. Simply, if you tell that I want vision of God, can you get it? So Ramakrishna is explaining all those things by example. What a wonderful way. Such simple examples makes it so interesting. Ramachandra Datta had recently been connected with the Brahma Samaj, whose member did not believe in God with form. So he was wondering how one could see a formless God. God is formless because he was influenced by the Brahma Samaj, and Brahma Samaj was influenced by the Christian and other Western thoughts. So they believed that God doesn't have a form. They did not have the faith that, like the Hindus, that God can also take form for the sake of the devotee. So now, because he believed in the principles of Brahma Samaj that God is formless, now he's feeling, how can formless God take a form? He was wondering, how could one see a formless God? The master could read everybody's mind. Ramakrishna had that special capacity. The moment he looks at the face of somebody, his mind would be revealed, just like anything kept in a case of glass can be seen so vividly. Likewise, Ramakrishna could read anybody's thoughts would come there. So Ramakrishna could read the thoughts of Ramchandra Datta, thinking that how one could see a formless God. The master read his mind and said, yes, God can be seen. Can God, whose creation is so beautiful and enchanting, be imperceptible? Look at his creation. The Lord has created this earth, these galaxies, this Milky Ways. So beautiful, so perceptible. You enjoy it, isn't it? So the Lord who has created this beautiful world, so beautiful and enchanting, Is he then imperceptible that he cannot be seen? So when Ramakrishna explained, could read the thought of Ramchandra and tell him with this example, Ramchandra Datta told, Sir, is it possible to realize God in this life? That means he's asking for himself. Can I realize God in this life? I'm a household, I have so much of desires. I have, he had wife, children, everybody. So all the desires, earning money, everything was there. So can a householder like me, he's telling about himself, Ramchandra Datta, can I realize God in this life? Sir, is it possible to realize God in this life? To which Sri Ramakrishna so nicely replied, what a wonderful answer. You get what you desire. If you really wish that you should realize God in this very life, you will put in the effort, sincere effort. And if that is your desire, you get it. Whatever you desire. You desire for enjoyment, you get it. You desire for something else, you get it. So if you desire for God, definitely you will get. But you should have that intense desire, Vyakulata. Yes, God can be seen. Can God, whose creation is so beautiful and enchanting, how can he be imperceptible? Ram asked, is it possible to realize God in this life? Sri Ramakrishna replied, you get what you desire. Now again, Ramakrishna is telling about faith. Faith alone is the key to success. If you believe, if you have faith that you can realize God in this life, then you'll put the effort. That's why I always tell faith is belief in action. You become dynamic. When you have that faith, yes, I want to realize God in this very life, then will you keep quiet? Will you sit quiet? You will start acting. You will start putting in the effort to realize God. You will do the japa given by the Guru. You will follow the words of the Guru. And also read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna where they tell, if you read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna every day without fail for 13 years, you will realize God. Brahmananda Ji used to tell. So you should have faith. The moment you read Ramakrishna's Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you get faith and you will start putting the effort to realize God. So you get what you desire. Faith alone. So what is faith? Whatever you have heard from the Guru, heard from the scriptures, and to realize God, you believe that God exists. So you will do the sadhana. You will put in the effort to realize God. That is faith. So Ramakrishna is telling, you get what you desire. Faith alone is the key to success. If you want success, you should have faith. Faith alone is the key to success. It's to be noted different aspects of faith. See, Ramakrishna is giving different through the teachings about faith through different angles, different perception. So, faith alone is the key to success. Anything, not only in spirituality, any other place, whether it is your office work, whether it is your studies, whether it is your household work, anything for that sake, gardening, sweeping, mopping. So, faith is the key to success. Then Sri Ramakrishna started singing. To drive his points, Ramakrishna used to tell stories, songs. Now, Ramakrishna sang this song, wonderful song. As is a man's meditation, so is his feeling of love. Deeper the meditation, deeper will be the love of God. So is his feeling of love. As is a man's feeling of love, so is his gain. And faith is the root of all. If in the nectar lake of Mother Kali's feet, My mind remains immersed of little use or worship rituals, oblations, or any other sacrifice. All the rituals are useless. If what should be the important thing, then don't give up the rituals, oblation, and other things. Ramakrishna is telling after you get intense devotion, when your mind remains immersed in the feet of Kali or immersed in the feet of God, then these things will drop off. Worship, oblations, sacrifice will drop off automatically. So don't give up until you get immense and intense love of God. It's only to the people who have intense love of God, then this will drop off naturally. Forcibly, please do not drop it. Automatically, naturally, by default, it will drop off. So go on continuing all your oblations, worship, sacrifices, homa, havan. Don't give it up. Don't take the wrong way. The master continued, the more you advance in one direction, the more you leave behind the opposite direction. See, if you go towards your native place, okay, you want to go to Durban or Cape Town or Delhi or whatever, whichever place, your native place. Then, as you proceed forward to that place, automatically your place where you live will be left behind, isn't it? So, Ramakrishna is giving that wonderful example. He's telling the more you advance in one direction, then the more you leave behind the opposite direction. If you move 10 steps towards the east direction, you move 10 steps away from the west, isn't it? So Ramachandra Datta now asked Ramakrishna again, but one must have tangible proof to have faith and love of God. If there is no tangible proof, then how can we have faith and love of God and how can we serve Him until it is perceptible, tangible? So Ramchandra is asking a wonderful question. It is all for us, you see. Even we have these doubts. It should be tangible, God should be felt, then we can get. But one must have tangible proof of God. Unless we have direct perception, unless we have direct experience of God, how can our weak and doubting mind have faith in His existence? Is it not the same doubt of our mind? Yeah, it is 100% true. Everyone will have this. Everyone will be questioning this. Everyone will be thinking in this fashion. It is as if Ramachandra Datta is asking for us. So, until unless one has any experience of God, how can our weak mind, our doubting mind have faith in His existence? To which Sri Ramakrishna told, a typhoid patient in a delirious state clamors to take gallons of water and heaps of rice. But the physician pays no heed to these entreaties, nor does he prescribe medicine at the patient's dictation. The doctor knows what is wrong. He can diagnose it properly and he will give you the remedy. There was one cook in Bangalore, Ramakrishna Vidyarthi Mandiramish. His name was Shatrughna. He had some pain here, it seems. So I called the doctor. He went to the doctor and told him, I was there. Doctor, I have pain here since many days. I have cancer, got cancer. See, look at it. Then the doctor got upset. He told, are you the doctor or am I the doctor? He himself started telling that he has cancer. There was some pain, it seems, yeah, that was there for a long time. So he's telling the doctor, oh, doctor, I have a cancer here. The doctor scolded him, telling that, are you the doctor or am I the doctor? You are telling what is the disease, already you have diagnosed it. How can that be? still living, that is a different thing. So likewise, Ramakrishna is telling, when people get typhoid, they become delirious. The typhoid patient is delirious, in his delirious state. He will go on clamoring and telling so many things. He wants to drink gallons of water, which you cannot. He wants to eat heaps of rice, which he cannot. But he will be demanding. But the physician pays no heed to the entreaties, nor does he prescribe. And the patient himself will tell, I want that yellow colored medicine. He doesn't know what the medicine is. He will tell, give me that yellow colored medicine, green colored syrup. They know only that. So will the doctor hear his words, entreaties? So, but the physician pays no heed to the entreaties, nor does he prescribe at the patient's dictation. He knows what he is doing, he knows how to diagnose. Likewise, the Guru will give you the direction. Don't be afraid of all these things. So Ramchandra Datta was very much moved and he was very much impressed with Sri Ramakrishna's simple, convincing answers. All the examples, all the stories given by Sri Ramakrishna is so simple. It will impress and it will make even the most ordinary illiterate, Nirakshara Kukshi, most illiterate person also understand. That is the speciality of Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. One of the great poet, his name was Kuvampu, used to tell in the Indian vernacular, South Indian language, he used to tell, when a person reads the Kathamrita or the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, even the illiterate will feel that is no less than a great scholar. Because the example is so clear, so simple that anybody can understand. The highest Vedantic dictums, the highest Vedantic teachings, which are just like peanuts, hard stone peanuts or the iron peanuts, which cannot be cracked. But Ramakrishna's teachings and examples and stories and jokes will make it so easy that even the most illiterate can understand it, and the Pandit, the scholar, also can understand it. That's why Ramchandra Datta was very much moved and was impressed with Sri Ramakrishna's simple, convincing answers. He would become so intoxicated listening to those divine discourses that Ram would be reluctant to return home. He would be so intoxicated in the words and the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna that even though it was very late in the night, he has to return back home. But he would not feel, he would feel reluctant to go home. He wanted to hear more and more and more the sweet words of Sri Ramakrishna. Just imagine if we feel so intoxicated to hear the words of Sri Ramakrishna ourselves, then what would be the intoxication and the attraction of those people who were directly imbibing, drinking that nectar, the words of Sri Ramakrishna? What would be the attraction? So if we ourselves are feeling so much of attraction. So Ramchandra Datta was very much moved and impressed with Sri Ramakrishna's simple, convincing answers. He would become so intoxicated. Can you imagine? Intoxicated. Listening to these divine discourses that he would be reluctant. He would forget his wife and children in the house, so much of responsibility. All that house, wealth, everything would be forgotten because he was intoxicated by the words of Sri Ramakrishna. He was reluctant to return home. He would forget all about the world and even his family, wife, children, and his duties. Everything he used to forget. Such was the intoxication in the words of Sri Ramakrishna. Yet, in spite of Ram's close contact with the Master, his mind was not content. His doubts persistently clung to him, even though his longing for God increased more and more, but some of the doubts were still lingering. One night, Ramchandra Datta dreamt that he took his bath in a familiar pond. In Bengal, the ponds are called pukur. It comes from the Sanskrit word pushkara or pushkarini. Pushkara has become pukur, just like Kammar pukur, Kammar pushkara. It has become Kammar pukur, Kamar pukur, Aldar pukur. So all the lakes and water bodies are called pukur. Comes from the Sanskrit word pushkara or pushkarini. So one night, Ramchandra Datta dreamt that he took his bath in a familiar pond, Pukur, and that Sri Ramakrishna then initiated him with the sacred mantra. He had a dream that he felt that Ramakrishna gave him the mantra Diksha, spiritual initiation with the mantra, and asked him to repeat it 100 times every day after his bath. As soon as Sri Ramchandra Datta, as soon as Ram woke up, he felt that his whole body was pulsating with bliss. Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda and Mother used to tell, any divine dreams of Guru, Sannyasin, saints, God are true. So now he had a wonderful divine dream. So after the after the dream too, when he woke up, generally we don't feel that. We forget it, so that is not so important. But here, see Ramchandra Datta, after that dream, when he woke up, he felt that his whole body was pulsating with bliss. He was feeling the joy. The next morning, he rushed to Dakshineshwar and related his dream to Sri Ramakrishna. Hearing this wonderful dream, Ramakrishna also became joyful. At this, Sri Ramakrishna joyfully said, He who receives divine blessings in a dream is sure to attain liberation. He who receives divine blessings in a dream is sure to attain liberation. Please note it. We have heard many people getting mantra diksha in the dream or in a vision by the Guru or by the deities. And Ramakrishna is telling about it. He who receives divine blessings in a dream is sure to attain liberation. The person who receives blessings or divine blessings in a dream, not this other part, is sure to attain liberation. Although Ramchandra Datta heard these hopeful words of Sri Ramakrishna, his mind was not satisfied with the holy dream. So Ramakrishna assured him that anybody having divine blessings in the dream will get sure to get liberation. But the dream was not sufficient for Ramchandra Datta. Although Ramchandra heard these hopeful words of Master, his mind was not satisfied with holy dreams. He was very skeptical, and to him a dream was just a fantasy. His mind again started to waver. He found no pleasure in worldly enjoyments. Yet he was not convinced about the existence of God at all. Again, the doubt started coming to his mind, like earlier. So, what to do? His mind again started to waver. He found no pleasure in worldly enjoyments. Yet he was not convinced about the existence of God, neither there, not here. Just like the Trishanku Swarga, limbo. No joy there, no joy here. What to do? He was not convinced about the existence of God. A few days passed this way. Then one morning, Ramachandra Datta was standing at the corner of the college square in Calcutta, explaining his mental conflicts to a friend. Tall stranger approached Ramachandra Datta and whispered to him, "Why are you so anxious? Have patience." Ram was stunned. After a few moments, he turned to see who this person who had consoled him with these welcoming words, but that person had vanished. See how your doubts, your problems, if you have faith in God, how He comes through different ways and He overcomes those doubts in you. So Ramachandra Datta's doubt increased in spite of all these dreams and assurances by Ramakrishna. He was skeptical, and to him a dream was just a fantasy. His mind again started to waver. He found no pleasure in worldly enjoyments, yet he was not convinced about the existence of God. A few days passed this way, then one morning Ram was standing at the corner of the college square in Calcutta, explaining his mental conflicts to a friend. A tall stranger approached Ramachandra Datta and whispered to him in the ears. What did he whisper? "Why are you anxious? Why are you anxious? Have patience." Ram was stunned. How could that person know what was in my mind? Who is that strange person? Ram was stunned. After a few moments, he turned to see who this person was, who had consoled him with these welcoming words. But the person had vanished. Although both Ramachandra Datta and his friends had seen and heard that man, now they could not find him anywhere. Ram felt that it had not been an illusion, because friend too saw it, heard it, but it was a direct message from God. So if only Ramachandra Datta had heard that, he could have concluded that as a illusion or delusion. But his friend heard too. They saw too that man, tall man coming and whispering that words. "Why are you so anxious? Have patience." Ram felt that it had not been an illusion but a direct message from God. Later, he related this incident to Sri Ramakrishna, who smiled. When Ramakrishna heard this, he smiled and said, "Yes, you will see many such things as that. You will have so many such visions and experiences. You will see many such things as that." Gradually, Ram began to get a taste of divine bliss because of his holy association with Master. So now you know the value of holy association, satsanga, sadhu sangha, satsanga, the association with the godly people, godlike people, people who are always thinking of God, So their association can bring wonderful things into our life. So you can see that happening in the life of Ramchandra Datta. To the value of satsanga, sadhu sanga, gradually Ram began to taste, get the taste of divine bliss because of his holy association with Sri Ramakrishna. So association, see, association, if the drop of rainwater falls on the lotus leaf or the lotus, it will become like a pearl. It will be detached, rolling. If it falls into the hot iron or fire, it will get evaporated. If it falls into drinking water, it will become pure like the drinking water. If it falls into the ditch water, it becomes dirty like the ditch water. So that water in itself doesn't have any special quality, but it gets that wonderful quality with what it gets associated, isn't it? Likewise, this association, wonderful association, the satsang of Ramakrishna. So gradually, Ram began to get a taste of divine bliss because of his holy association with Sri Ramakrishna. And worldly pleasure became more and more insipid to him, tasteless. Insipid is tasteless. He cannot enjoy it. He expressed to the master his desire to become a monk. He wanted to give up his family, everything. He had a wife, he had children, he had business, he had family. So he wanted to give up everything and become a monk. So now, because everything in the life was becoming tasteless, insipid, but at the same time he was getting the divine bliss of God. Now he expressed to Sri Ramakrishna his desire to become a monk, give up everything. But Sri Ramakrishna dissuaded him. He told, no, you can't become a monk. What did he tell? What did Sri Ramakrishna tell? A beautiful lesson for all of us, saying nothing should be done. Nothing should be done on the spur of the moment. What a wonderful teaching. Isn't it wonderful? Nothing, please remember it, nothing should be done on the spur of the moment. Nothing should be done on the spur of the moment. God alone knows. God alone knows what He means to do through a particular person. God alone knows what He means to do through a particular person. Each human being is a unique personality, unique. Don't think anybody is hopeless. Everybody should become monks or everybody should become the same person. In God's creation, every human being is a unique person. God will do His work through all of you. Do not take drastic decision or unnatural decisions. So Ramakrishna is giving this wonderful twist to the life of Ramchandra Datta. Sri Ramakrishna dissuaded him, saying nothing should be done on the spur of the moment. God alone knows what He means to do through a particular person. So, all of you, this is a message. God will take you, purify your life, go on doing your sadhana, doing good work. God will do wonderful miracles through you. Each person, you are unique. So, God alone knows what He means to do through a particular person. Go on becoming an instrument. Become egoless. And God will use like an instrument. So note that again. And we will end our today's discussion with this wonderful teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna said nothing should be done on the spur of the moment. Nothing should be done on the spur of the moment. God alone knows. God alone knows what He means to do through a particular person. All of you, everybody, irrespective of whatever you may be, educated, uneducated, rich or poor, high or low, weak or strong, do not worry. All of you are unique. God, Ramakrishna is telling, God alone knows what He means to do through a particular person. Who is that particular person? Through you. God alone knows what He wants to do through you. You have to do a lot of work of the God. See how many people died in the coronavirus. Why did we survive? Because God has something in our future that we have to do. We are all the instruments of God. Remove your ego and you become the fitting instrument of God. God has many, many things to do out of you. Have faith, wonderful line. Do not do anything on the spur of the moment. God alone knows what He wants to do to you. All of you. So we will end our conversation with this wonderful high note and teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. So we will meet again in the next session. So until then, meditate, read all these things again and again, note it down, write notes, meditate on that, and enjoy the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. So we will end with the prayer. Om Priyatam Pundarikakshaha Sarvayagneshwaro Harihi Tasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam Prenite Prenitam Jagat Harihi Om Tatsat Sri Ramakrishna Pranamastu. Namaskar to all of you. Om Namo Narayana.